I sat on the cracked bench outside the school library, my notebook balanced on my knees, scribbling ideas for a project I was convinced could change everything. One day, people will see I'm serious about this, I whispered to myself. Serious? Ha! A familiar voice cut through my muttering. I looked up and saw Leo leaning against the wall, arms crossed, that smirk I knew too well stretching across his face. You're still dreaming, huh? He said, laughing. That little business plan of yours? Impossible. Do you even know what you're talking about? I clenched my jaw, trying not to let his words pierce me. Maybe you don't see it, but I have a plan, I said, forcing my voice steady. Plan? Leo scoffed. Girl, I've known you since we were kids. You can barely handle math homework, and now you want to run a company. He laughed louder, drawing a few curious glances from passing students. I felt my cheeks burn, but I refused to let him win. It's not about what you think, Leo. I'm working for it. Every step. He tilted his head, pretending to consider me. Working? Sure. Keep dreaming, little genius. You'll wake up one day and realize the real world doesn't work like your fairy tales. I bit my lip. His words always left a sting, but there was also a flicker of determination that sparked every time he doubted me. Maybe, I whispered more to myself than him. From behind me, Mia's voice was soft but firm. Ignore him. You're better than his jokes, Emma. I've seen your ideas, they're solid. Don't let him shake you. I turned to her, grateful. Thanks, Mia. I hate that he makes me doubt myself. Mia shrugged. Good. Use it. Let it fuel you. He laughs because he's scared of how serious you actually are. I smiled weakly at her encouragement, feeling a small warmth in my chest. Yeah, maybe I will. Leo pushed off the wall, walking closer, his eyes glinting with mischief. Oh, I like this firing you. But let's be honest, you'll stumble. You always do. I swallowed hard. My fingers trembled slightly as I gripped my notebook. If I stumble, I'll get back up. You'll see. He laughed again, the sound cutting through the quiet courtyard. We'll see, little dreamer. We'll see. He walked away, tossing one last glance over his shoulder. That smirk lingered in my mind long after he left, like a challenge I couldn't ignore. Mia nudged my shoulder. Ready to go home? I nodded slowly, feeling that quiet fire burning inside me. Someday Leo wouldn't be laughing. Someday I'd be the one smiling, and it wouldn't just be a joke, it would be victory. I had spent weeks preparing for the scholarship interview, memorizing every detail, rehearsing every answer. This is it, I whispered to myself, straightening my jacket. I can do this. The hall buzzed with other applicants, nerves hanging thick in the air. I spotted Leo near the back, leaning casually against the wall, smirking like he owned the place. My stomach sank. Hey, little dreamer, he called out, loud enough for a few to glance at me. Ready to fail spectacularly? I clenched my fists but forced a smile. You're one to talk. He laughed, a low, sharp sound. Talk? Oh, this isn't just talk. Mia told me you're completely unprepared. Honestly, it's too easy. I practically set it up so you'd stumble. No worries, I got this. My chest froze. What do you mean? Set it up. Leo's smirk widened. Relax, you'll see soon enough. I just like watching you try so hard and fail. It's entertaining. I felt heat rise to my face, and I grabbed the nearest empty chair to steady myself. Leo, that's cruel. I trusted you. Trust. He shook his head, feigning pity. You're naive. You think just because we grew up together I'd root for you? Please. Your plans are cute, but they're nothing. You'll never be enough. I shook my head, disbelief turning into anger. Enough? Enough for what? I've worked. Worked? He cut me off. You call fumbling through presentations and begging for approval work? No, sweetheart. That's just talk. Empty words. You're nothing but noise. The other students shifted uncomfortably, some glancing away, others whispering. I could barely hear myself think over the rage and humiliation flooding me. You sabotaged me, didn't you? Leo leaned closer, voice dripping amusement. Bingo. And it was deliciously easy. You'll thank me one day for showing you the real world isn't full of nice people. Dreams don't matter, effort doesn't matter, and sorry, Emma. You don't matter. I felt my hands shake, my chest tight. How could you? He laughed, stepping back smug. Because I can. And because you'll never see me coming. Face it. You're broken before you even start. I stumbled away, clutching my bag, my notes, my pride. The hall blurred around me. I wanted to scream, cry, anything, but the words felt trapped in my throat. Outside, I leaned against the brick wall, knees weak, head spinning. I couldn't stop hearing his laughter, the mockery echoing. Before Leo, I whispered, gripping my notebook like it was a lifeline. After Leo. That's it. Life is split. I pressed my hands to my face, anger, disbelief, and hurt mixing in a bitter cocktail. I can't let this end me, I murmured to myself. I'll prove him wrong. Every last word. The fire ignited that day wasn't just about pride. It was about survival, ambition, and the quiet, relentless need to rise above the one who had humiliated me. I woke on Mia's couch, sunlight burning through the curtains, but sleep hadn't touched me. My mind replayed Leo's words like a cruel recording. You'll never be enough. Dreams don't matter. I buried my face in the pillow, trying to smother the sting of humiliation. Mia! I croaked. She appeared in the doorway, coffee in hand, her eyes soft. Morning. You slept at all? I shook my head. Not really. I keep hearing him, laughing at me. She set the mug down and sat beside me. Emma, it's not your fault. You did everything right. Leo, he's cruel, yes, but that doesn't define you. I trusted him. I whispered, voice trembling. I worked so hard and he just destroyed it. Mia squeezed my hand. And you survived. That means you're stronger than him, even if you don't feel it now. I turned my head, bitter. Survived? I feel broken. I can't even face my family. Mom keeps calling. I ignore her because I'm ashamed. I feel weak, useless. Mia shook her head. You're not useless. You're human. Hurt doesn't make you weak. It makes you you. My phone buzzed. A message from Ethan, my old mentor. Hey, I heard what happened. Are you okay? Can we meet? I stared at it, uncertainty twisting my gut. Why would he care? I'm a failure now. Are you going to reply? Mia asked gently. I hesitated. I don't know. I can't. I feel worthless. What if he sees me the way Leo does? Mia shook her head again. Ethan isn't Leo. He won't mock you. Let him help. I ignored her advice, tossing my phone aside. Hours passed. Later, I heard a knock at the door. Ethan, standing there, calm but concerned. Emma, I just wanted to check on you, he said softly. I swallowed hard. I don't need pity. I'm not here to pity, he said, stepping inside. I know how hard you worked. I know what he said, and it wasn't true. You wouldn't understand. I snapped, my hand shaking. You weren't there. You didn't hear him, see him. Everything I built gone. Ethan knelt slightly to meet my eyes. I was there for you once, remember? I still am. Let me help you stand again. I looked away, tears brimming. I can't even face myself. He stayed silent, giving me space. His calm presence felt like a tether, but I wasn't ready to hold on. Later, alone, I pressed my hands to my face, sobbing quietly. He didn't just humiliate me, he tried to erase me. Everything I worked for, gone because of him. But I can't stay here forever. I won't. The fire started then, faint but undeniable, flickering beneath the ashes of despair. Leo may have crushed me, but he had not killed my ambition. Not yet. I will rise, I whispered to the empty room. Stronger, smarter, better. And he'll see. He'll see what he lost. I stared at my laptop, heart pounding as Leo posted yet another photo online. Him smiling in a sleek office, shaking hands with some powerful investor. The caption, finally moving up in the world. Dreams do come true. Something inside me cracked, but it wasn't jealousy. It was rage. Anger that had been simmering beneath the surface for weeks now boiled over. Mia, I said, my voice sharp. He thinks he's won. He thinks he can show off while I'm nothing. Mia, sitting across from me with her tea, frowned. Emma, this isn't about him anymore. You can't let him control how you feel. I'm not letting him control me, I said, teeth clenched. I'm going to take control of myself, of my life. I refuse to be crushed by him. Her eyes softened. Then what are you going to do? I closed the laptop. I'm going to rebuild. Smartly. Strategically. No more whining, no more tears on couches. I'll take the hurt, the betrayal, and turn it into power. Later that day, Ethan called. Emma, I know this has been rough. I want to help. There's a business mentorship program I think you'd excel in. It's rigorous, but it could change everything. I hesitated, doubt creeping in. I don't know if I deserve it. What if I fail again? Ethan's voice was calm. You've been through hell. You've learned more than anyone else there. Trust yourself. Let me guide you. I swallowed, then nodded, determination hardening my chest. All right. I'll do it. But I need guidance that won't coddle me. I need someone who tells the truth, even when it hurts. Then I have just the person, Ethan said. Nora. She's brutal, direct, and won't let you hide behind excuses. Are you ready? I clenched my fists. I'm ready. Meeting Nora was intimidating. She didn't smile, didn't offer comfort. She simply stared and asked, why should I invest my time in you? I hesitated, then straightened. Because I'm willing to work harder than anyone. I won't quit. I'll listen. I'll learn. I'll take every lesson and apply it. Nora raised an eyebrow. Words are cheap. Let's see if your actions match them. You'll fail, you'll struggle, and I won't protect you. Can you handle that? Yes, I said firmly, feeling a spark inside me. I can handle it. I will handle it. Walking home that evening, I reflected on the past few weeks, the humiliation, the tears, the feeling of worthlessness. It had all been sharp, brutal, and necessary. Every ounce of pain had fueled this moment. I whispered to myself, this isn't just about proving him wrong. This is about proving I'm stronger than my fears. I will not let anger consume me. I will channel it. Pain becomes purpose, hurt becomes drive. Mia's voice rang in my memory. You're stronger than him, even if you don't feel it now. I let it settle in my chest like armor. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope not tied to revenge but to ambition. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was starting to fight strategically, consciously, and with direction. The world had underestimated me, Leo had mocked me, and now I had the chance to rise on my own terms. And I would rise. I stared at the slides on my laptop and muttered under my breath. No, this is a disaster. Nora's voice cut through the room like a blade. Disaster is what happens when you rely on charm instead of substance. Try again. My hands shook as I tried to reframe my presentation. But I've practiced. I know the content. Practice isn't enough if your confidence is fake. Convince yourself first, then others will follow, she snapped. I bit back a retort. I knew she was right, and yet the sting of her words made my stomach knot. Later, in the break room, Mia leaned across the table, her voice gentle. Hey, don't let her scare you. She pushes because she sees what you're capable of. I rubbed my temples. I feel like I'm drowning. Every word I say, every slide I present. I'm terrified it's all wrong. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. You are, Mia said firmly. Remember when Leo laughed at your business plan? You're not that girl anymore. You've grown. You just need to believe it. I nodded, swallowing my self-doubt. I want to believe it. I really do. That afternoon I faced another challenge. A networking session with industry professionals. My palms were slick, my voice tight. Someone snickered when I stumbled over my words. Are you even listening to yourself? I whispered angrily to myself, cheeks burning. A man nearby raised an eyebrow but offered a polite, it's okay, we all start somewhere. I managed a shaky smile. Thanks. I'll get it next time. Nora appeared behind me. Next time better not be 2 minutes from now. Stop apologizing for your existence. Own it. I exhaled sharply, trying to absorb her words. They were harsh but necessary. Slowly, a sense of resolve began to grow. Weeks passed in a blur of presentations, emails, and late-night revisions. I failed more than I succeeded, but each mistake taught me something crucial. I didn't need approval to validate my efforts. During a particularly grueling training session, Nora paused me mid-sentence. Why are you hesitating? Is it fear or habit? I don't know, I admitted. I guess. I'm used to waiting for someone to say I'm enough. That ends now. You are enough. Learn it and act like it. I swallowed. letting her words settle deep in my chest. For the first time, I felt a flicker of ownership over my own potential. Mia called me later that evening. How did it go? I hesitated, then smiled softly. It went better. I stumbled less. One of the clients even said my ideas were innovative. Just one person, but it felt huge. That's the start, Mia said warmly. See? You're building your power, one step at a time. I thought about the weeks of trembling hands, sweaty palms, and sleepless nights. Every failure had been a lesson. Every harsh critique a push toward the person I was becoming. I whispered to myself, this is the beginning. The girl who needed approval is still there, but she's learning to stand on her own. I don't need anyone to tell me my worth. I'll prove it through action. By the time I left the office that night, I felt a seed planted within me. A tiny, persistent power that was mine alone. Leo had laughed, mocked, and doubted me, but that girl was gone. In her place was someone learning to rise. Someone who could no longer be ignored. And I liked the sound of her name. Me. I overheard whispers in the office cafeteria. Quiet conversations that carried more weight than shouted gossip. Did you hear about Leo's deal falling through? One colleague murmured. Another added, yeah, and apparently his partner isn't thrilled with him either. He's struggling to keep control. I felt a strange tug of satisfaction, though I quickly pushed it aside. Not yet, I reminded myself. No celebrations. My victory would come quietly through my own hard work. Later, Ethan called. I hear you've been handling yourself well. I have an opportunity at Marlowe & Company, junior strategist. I think you're ready. I paused. Me? Really? Yes. You've got the focus now. Don't overthink it. Apply tonight. Okay. I'll do it. My pulse raced. This could be the turning point. At the interview, Elijah was the first person I noticed. He was calm, observant, and professional, with a kind but unreadable expression. You must be the candidate Ethan recommended, he said. I'm Elijah. Welcome. Thank you, I replied, feeling nervous but trying to mask it. He asked questions, not condescending ones, but challenging, thoughtful questions that made me stretch for answers. I realized he respected me, not out of pity, not out of flirtation, but because I earned it. Afterwards, I confided quietly to Mia. He's different. No judgments, no fake smiles. He treats me like I matter on my own. That's rare, she said, smiling. Good for you. Days later, I settled into my new role. Every project, every email, every meeting demanded my attention. I made mistakes, small ones, but learned from them quickly. Each success, however minor, built the sense of ownership I had been craving for months. Then, an email notification pinged. Leo. My chest tightened, but I ignored it. One glance at his name was enough to remind me why I had left that old life behind. Not now, I whispered, closing the message. Mia leaned over my shoulder. You're stronger than you realize. Ignoring him is perfect. He's not worth your energy. I know, I said, though a small part of me wanted to scream at him. But I held that back. Silence was my weapon now. Let him crumble in his own chaos. A few weeks later, I ran into a rumor directly. Leo's partner had publicly criticized his decisions, and a significant client pulled out of a deal. I felt nothing but a quiet acknowledgement. No gloating, no vindictive satisfaction. Just recognition that life had a way of balancing itself. Karma whispered softly, and I listened. Elijah caught me reviewing a proposal later. You handled that perfectly. Clear, concise, confident. I smiled, letting the praise sink in. Thanks. I've been trying to focus on what I can control. Good approach. And it shows, he said calmly, nodding. I realized then that my power no longer depended on Leo's failures or successes. I had built something for myself. Every late night, every critique, every moment of doubt had led me here. When another email from Leo popped up the next morning, I didn't open it. My fingers hovered over the delete button before I pressed it. Mia peeked over my shoulder. Let it go. Yeah, I said firmly. I'm done looking back. I have my own path now. Walking out of the office that evening, the sunset catching the glass building, I breathed deeply. My world was shifting quietly, subtly, but the power was mine, and it felt steadier than any loud revenge could ever be. And for the first time I felt truly untouchable. I stepped into the gala, my heels clicking against the marble floor. The chandeliers glimmered, the music swelled, and everywhere I looked, polished faces moved with purpose. I felt it too, the pulse of ambition, the allure of opportunity. "Wow, you clean up well," Mia whispered, handing me a glass of sparkling water. I smiled tightly. "You've been saying that since college." She chuckled. "True, but this feels different." I nodded, feeling a strange mix of nerves and exhilaration. Months of work, of grinding through mentorship, networking, and self-doubt had brought me here. The ache of Leo's betrayal lingered, a soft reminder of what I'd endured, but it no longer defined me. Then I saw him, Leo, across the room, laughing loudly, holding a drink, but his eyes froze the moment they landed on me. "Leo," I said, voice even, walking toward him with calm precision. He blinked, then smiled, that same practiced charm he always wore, but there was an edge now, a flicker of unease. "I didn't expect to see you here." I kept my tone light. "I didn't expect to see you either." He swallowed, glanced around, probably noticing a few colleagues watching us, sensing his own insecurity. You've changed." "I suppose I have," I said, smiling softly. Not triumphant, not mocking, just composed. "We all do eventually." There was a pause, the kind that spoke louder than words. Leo's shoulders stiffened. "I mean, you're successful." I shrugged casually. "I work hard for what I want. You should try it sometime." He laughed, though it sounded strained, forced. "Right, of course. I see that." I could feel the stares now, the subtle awareness of others around us. His partner Vanessa was watching from a distance, arms crossed, an unmistakable glare of threat in her eyes. I ignored them both. My focus wasn't on him, wasn't on proving anything. My power wasn't in confrontation. It was in presence, in poise, in the quiet assertion that I had moved beyond needing validation. "You look different," he murmured again, softer this time. I let the words hang. "People grow," I said simply, turning slightly, signaling the end of the conversation without a word more. Mia's hand on my arm guided me away. "You handled that beautifully," she said, eyes shining. I exhaled. It feels good not needing to explain, not needing an apology. I just exist on my terms now. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of networking, laughter, and introductions. I met clients, exchanged ideas, and felt the subtle thrill of influence that came from competence, rather than entitlement. Later, as I looked across the room again, Leo was slumped slightly, a rare shadow of discomfort passing over his features. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Silence, restraint, the quiet display of my own life, my choices, spoke louder than any words of revenge ever could. "Elijah will be joining us here soon," Mia whispered. I nodded. "Good. I want allies, not distractions." As I walked toward a group of colleagues, the glow of chandeliers reflecting off the polished floors, I realized how far I had come. The girl who once trembled at ridicule, who once sought validation from those who mocked her, would barely recognize this woman. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to look back. My past was behind me. My ambition, my purpose, my growth, they were mine. The power was quiet, subtle, undeniable. And Leo? He could watch. That was enough. I heard whispers before I saw him. "Leo messed up the Carter deal," someone muttered in the elevator. "And apparently he's been making enemies left and right." I sipped my coffee, letting the words sink without reaction. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction, the flicker of revenge, but I had grown past that. "Have you seen him lately?" a colleague asked another, shaking their head. "No idea. He's stressed, I guess. Heard him admit to some mistakes. Fearful, even." I remembered how desperately I once wanted his approval, his acknowledgement. I remembered waiting for an apology that never came. And now? It felt meaningless. That craving had died quietly, leaving room for something stronger. Later I ran into Ethan, checking his emails. "You're calm," he remarked, looking at me over his glasses. "Even with all this gossip about Leo." I shrugged, leaning against the counter. Why would I react? "His chaos isn't mine to control." He nodded. "You've changed. No longer reactive. Or naive," I muttered. "I spent years giving him power over my emotions." "Better late than never," Ethan said, eyes warm but direct. I caught a glimpse of Leo outside the glass doors, pacing and muttering to a colleague. He looked small, defeated. Not broken entirely, but uncomfortably exposed. See him? Ethan asked. Yeah, I said calm. He's unraveling. That night I called Nora. He's slipping, I admitted, unsure why I even needed to voice it. Good, she said flatly. Or not good. Depends on your perspective. I don't feel the way I thought I would, I confessed. No joy, no triumph. Just observation. Nora's voice softened slightly. That's because you've grown. Remember, survival, success, they aren't cruelty. They're self-preservation. Your life isn't about punishing him anymore. I know, I said, but my throat tightened. I still feel guilty. Am I cold for feeling this detached? You're human, she replied. But this detachment? It's your strength. You protect yourself now. You choose where to invest your heart. The next day at the office, Elijah noticed my quiet focus. You're not distracted by the chaos outside, he said. I shook my head. I've learned my battles aren't always loud. Some victories are silent. He nodded, eyes thoughtful. It suits you. I walked past Leo in the lobby without looking. He stopped, as if expecting me to glance his way. I didn't. I wouldn't. Later I reflected on the past, the humiliation, the stolen opportunities, the endless waiting for him to notice me. And I realized that craving his acknowledgement had been a poison. Now that energy went toward building myself, toward mastery, toward growth. Mia stopped by my office, eyes bright. You look untouchable today. I smiled faintly. It's not untouchable. It's intentional. I choose my energy carefully. And it feels good, she asked. Yes, I said firmly. I feel capable, independent, unbound by his shadows. By the evening I had cleared my desk, closed the laptop, and walked out into the city's golden light. I could sense Leo's missteps everywhere without needing to intervene. I could see his cracks, his failures, and it didn't touch me. For the first time I understood distance was power. Silence was strength. My growth mattered more than his regret. And I would never allow his shadows to darken my path again. My phone buzzed relentlessly. I hesitated before looking. His name filled the screen. Leo. Please just hear me out, the first message read. My stomach clenched. I had imagined this moment countless times, but nothing prepared me for the reality. I ignored it. Then another came. I made a mistake. I see now how much I hurt you. Can we talk? I stared at the words. My fingers hovered over the screen. Talk? After everything? Elijah, who had been quietly reviewing documents nearby, noticed my tension. Do you want to respond? He asked gently. No, I said immediately, shaking my head. I need to think. He nodded, silent. That was his way. Support without pressure. Presence without interference. I appreciated it more than I could articulate. I sank into the couch, mind flashing back. Letters I had written to him and never sent. Dreams we had shared when I was naive enough to believe in a forever. His laughter, once comforting, now echoed like betrayal. I murmured to myself, forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. It doesn't mean returning to what was. Elijah glanced up. Are you talking about him? I nodded. I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wants to close the door gently. Another part wants to scream at him for all the years he wasted. Closing the door doesn't erase the lessons, Elijah said softly, or the strength you've built. I exhaled slowly. You're right. I've grown beyond needing his acknowledgement, beyond needing him to see my worth. The phone buzzed again. I've changed. I can't fix the past, but I can try to make things right. I stared at it and typed nothing. My heart raced, but clarity began to rise like dawn. My response wasn't a word, it was intention. I whispered aloud. I forgive myself for ever depending on him. I forgive him silently without reopening the wound. Elijah offered a small smile. That sounds like closure. I nodded, more to myself than him. I imagined pressing delete on the messages on the past, not with anger but with peace. Then I said aloud, Leo, I wish you no harm. But my life, my choices, they're mine now. I don't need him to validate me. Elijah's hand brushed briefly against mine. You're strong enough to walk away, aren't you? I am, I said, feeling the truth resonate. Strong enough to choose myself. Strong enough to let go completely. I rose, feeling a quiet power in each step. I remembered the letters I'd written, the dreams I'd nurtured alone, and I realized they had been enough all along. My growth wasn't dependent on him. My worth had never been a shared currency. I left the couch and walked to the window, sunlight spilling over my face. For the first time, I felt a release I didn't expect, light, unburdened. A final message popped up. Please don't hate me. I smiled faintly, pressing delete. I didn't hate him. I felt neither bitterness nor longing, only clarity. Goodbye, I whispered to the past, to the younger version of me who had hoped for his approval. And thank you for the lessons. Elijah stood silently behind me. You've truly come a long way. I nodded, turning to him. I finally own my story. Not his, not theirs, mine. And that's enough. The weight lifted. The moral crossroad no longer felt like a trap. It was a path forward, and I would walk it on my own terms. For the first time, forgiveness wasn't about reconciliation. It was about freedom. I overheard it first in the cafeteria. Did you hear about Leo's deal falling through? A colleague whispered to another. I sipped my coffee slowly, nodding. I did, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Inside, I felt nothing explosive. No triumph. Just acknowledgement. Karma had a way of unfolding quietly. You're not going to celebrate? They asked, eyes wide. I don't need to, I replied. It's already happening. No interference required. Later, Mia called. I can't believe it, she said. All his boasting, and now, her voice trailed. He built his own trap, I said softly. I just stayed out of it. Mia hesitated. Are you okay? Not happy. I laughed quietly. I am okay. I'm busy with my own victories now. That afternoon, I received an email from Ethan. Congrats on the promotion, it read. I smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with Leo. I had worked for this, every late night, every failed pitch, every moment of self-doubt turned into action. Elijah appeared at my office door. You look different, he said, eyes scanning my workspace. I've changed, I admitted. The girl who waited for approval wouldn't even recognize me. He leaned against the doorframe. You seem calm. Not vengeful, not bitter. I learned that satisfaction comes from growth, not watching others fall, I said. Elijah nodded. That's impressive. I didn't used to think so, I murmured. I used to want him to fail just so I'd feel justified. Now it doesn't matter. His actions speak for themselves. Meanwhile, rumors of Leo's continued missteps reached me through casual conversations, not direct contact. Deals he had boasted about crumbled. Partners withdrew. Social influence waned. I heard he's struggling to find investors, Mia said during lunch. People are talking. I shrugged. Let them talk. My focus is elsewhere. Even in the elevator, colleagues whispered. Leo's reputation is slipping fast. Yeah, I replied softly, keeping my expression neutral. And it's not my responsibility. That evening, I moved into my new apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the cityscape, lights glittering like a reward I had earned. Boxes surrounded me, but for the first time, I felt entirely at home. Elijah helped me set up my desk. You've built this, he said quietly. All of it. Yes, I agreed, tracing my fingers along the sleek surface. I've built my life without depending on anyone else's validation. Mia arrived with a bottle of champagne. To you, she said, smiling brightly. To independence, power, and finally peace. I clinked glasses with her. To moving forward, I added. Not backward. Later, I stood by the window looking down at the city below. Leo's name appeared in a news alert. Another deal lost. Another social snub noted. And still I felt only calm. No gloating. Just understanding. Life had its way of balancing things, and I no longer needed to push it. Elijah joined me silently, handing me a notebook. Plans for the next venture? He asked. Yes, I said, flipping it open. I have goals, strategies, and people who actually support me. That's enough. I reflected on who I had been, the anxious girl who doubted herself, who sought approval in the wrong places, who thought other success or failure defined her worth. I barely recognized her now. She would be proud of me, I whispered to myself. And I don't need anyone else's permission to feel that. The city lights blurred into stars as I smiled faintly. Karma had worked itself out naturally, quietly. My life, however, was roaring forward. No one had to know. I had watched the fall, and I had risen silently. I had finally learned that true power was in living, thriving, and moving forward. Unshakable, untouchable, and free. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, tracing the lines of a face that had endured so much. Is this really me? I whispered to myself. The girl who once begged for validation gone. Mia's voice came from the kitchen. Coffee? She asked, smiling. Or do you want to admire yourself in silence some more? I laughed softly. Coffee. I think I've had enough self-admiration for one morning. She handed me the mug. Look at you. You've changed, really. I had to, I admitted. I couldn't stay broken forever. I couldn't wait for someone else to define my worth. Mia sat down across from me. And you didn't. I'm proud of you. Thanks, I said, letting a small smile slip. It wasn't easy. There were days I wanted to quit, nights I felt invisible, but I kept moving. I guess that's what matters. Later I met Nora at her office. She raised an eyebrow. You look composed. Finally. I've been working on it, I said. More than just work, though. I'm learning to own myself. Good, she said, tapping her pen. Because confidence built from fear of others is fragile. What you have now, this is steel. I nodded, absorbing her words. I've realized something, I said slowly. Every version of me, naive, broken, ambitious, led me here. I had to survive all those versions to become this woman. Nora's expression softened. And now I choose. I choose who I let close, who I trust, and how I move forward. That evening I called my mother. The line rang twice before she picked up. Hello. Her voice carried cautious warmth. Mom, can we talk? I asked. Of course, she said. Is everything okay? I wanted to apologize for pushing you away, for all the misunderstandings, I said, my voice shaking slightly. And thank you for always being there, even when I didn't see it. There was silence on the other end. Then she whispered, I'm proud of you. Always have been. I'm glad you called. I felt a lump in my throat. I love you, Mom. I'm finally ready to be honest about that. I love you too, she replied. Afterwards, I met Elijah at a small cafe. His eyes softened as he saw me approach. You look at peace, he said. I am, I said, sliding into the seat opposite him. But it took work. I can't say it was all easy, or that I didn't stumble. You don't need to, he said. I respect you. For everything you've endured. And for the woman you've become. I smiled, feeling something warm in my chest. I'm opening my heart carefully, I said. Not out of need but choice. I decide who deserves my trust now. And that's exactly what makes you strong, he said quietly. Later, alone in my apartment, I reflected. I had fought for every inch of my life, rebuilt from ashes, and honored every lesson. Mia had been my anchor, Nora my mirror, and Elijah a steady presence, not a crutch. I whispered to myself, I am capable. I am worthy. I am enough. I built myself. A calm pride settled over me. No more seeking validation. No more bending to others' whims. I had my independence, my strength, and my choices. Gratitude swelled in my chest, for the people who had supported me, for the trials that had hardened me, and for the quiet confidence I now carried. I stood by the window looking out at the city lights. They shimmered like possibilities, infinite and waiting. This is my life, I said. And I've built it. Alone but never lonely. Strong but still open. Free. I smiled to myself. The woman in the mirror was mine. No apologies, no regrets, just power, grace, and self-realization. I stepped into the gala, heels clicking against the marble floor. The room shimmered with chandeliers and murmurs of deals being made. Alliances formed, futures discussed. I straightened my shoulders, letting the air of quiet confidence settle over me. Mia leaned close as we approached the crowd. You look untouchable, she whispered, eyes glinting. Feels that way, I replied softly, letting a small smile curl my lips. Feels finally like I belong here, not because someone let me but because I earned it. From across the room I saw him, Leo. His suit was sharp, but his posture rigid, tense. He didn't approach, didn't call out. He merely watched. I met his gaze briefly, letting my eyes hold his for a heartbeat. No anger. No triumph. Just calm certainty. Do you see him? Mia asked quietly. I do, I said, sipping my champagne. But it doesn't matter. Not anymore. Moments passed as I navigated introductions and conversations, nodding, smiling, shaking hands. Each interaction reinforced a truth I had slowly built into my bones. My worth was mine. Not Leo's to belittle. Not anyone's to define. I overheard snippets of conversation near the bar. She's unstoppable, one colleague said. I heard she led that acquisition, almost single-handedly. I smiled faintly, taking mental notes. The recognition wasn't for ego. It was validation of effort, resilience, and skill. My power was quiet, practical, undeniable. Mia nudged me again. He's still staring. I glanced toward Leo. His eyes flicked away quickly when they met mine again. I let a brief, controlled grin escape, then turned to engage with a new contact. Leo's presence was irrelevant to my movements, my purpose, my control. At one point, Elijah appeared beside me. You handle that room like it's yours, he said, voice calm, admiring but not flattering. It feels like it is, I admitted. After everything, after all the years of doubt and mockery, it finally feels like I can just exist without proving anything to him, or anyone else. He nodded. And you've earned it. Your confidence isn't borrowed, it's built. Solid. Permanent. I let that sink in. It was permanent. Not temporary or fragile. Not dependent on past recognition or vindication. I had reached a place of complete ownership of my life. Later, as the evening drew on, I saw Leo glance once more in my direction. I didn't acknowledge him. I didn't need to. His silence was proof enough that he understood, even if only subconsciously, that the game had shifted. He could watch, speculate, regret, but I moved forward. Mia linked arms with me. Shall we step outside? She asked. I exhaled, feeling the weight of years lift from my shoulders. Yes, I said, voice firm and peaceful. Outside where the night is ours and the past is just that. The past. I walked away, heels steady, head high. Every step echoed the truth. I was in control. My life. My career. My self-worth. My peace. No words needed. No confrontation required. The closure had already been earned, lived, and internalized. For the first time I smiled freely, not out of victory over him, but out of triumph over myself. I belonged to no one but me.